I'm Andreas Hamberger, and this is the Hamberger Report, where I cover AI governance, enterprise architecture, and the technology decisions that actually matter to the people who have to make them. If you find this useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. Now let's get into it. A CISO at a financial services firm told me late last year that her team discovered, almost by accident, that marketing had been feeding customer segmentation data into ChatGPT for 6 months. Not maliciously, not even carelessly. They were trying to write better campaign copy. Nobody had told them not to. When she pulled the logs, 3 other teams were doing the same thing with different tools. The firm had an AI policy. It had been approved by the board, formatted beautifully, and published on the intranet. Nobody had read it. I'm Andreas Hamberger. This is the Hamberger Report, where I cover AI governance and what it means for the professionals who have to make it work. That story is not unusual. It is the norm. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Responsible AI Playbook found that 81% of companies remain in the earliest stages of AI governance maturity. Fewer than 1% have reached full maturity. At the same time, 88% of organizations now use AI in at least one business function. Nearly 9 in 10 organizations have deployed AI. Fewer than 1 in 100 govern it properly. And there is a second number that makes this considerably worse. Menlo Ventures surveyed more than 150 technical leaders in January 2026 and found that 3 companies account for 88% of all enterprise large language model usage: Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google. More than half of enterprises do not use open source models at all. The intelligence layer of the global economy runs through 3 vendors. Most organizations are not governing it, and the technology is no longer waiting for instructions. Those 3 facts together define the AI governance problem of 2026. Shadow AI, the use of AI tools without IT approval, is now the fastest growing category of enterprise risk. IBM's 2025 Cost of a Data Breach study found that 1 in 5 data breaches involved shadow AI at an extra cost of $670,000 per incident. Among breached organizations, 97% lacked proper access controls. Microsoft and LinkedIn's Work Trend Index found 78% of AI users bring their own tools to work. Black Fox January 2026 study found 86% of employees use AI weekly, with roughly half using tools their employer has not sanctioned. Shadow AI is not an edge case, it is the default. This is not employees being reckless. It is employees being rational. When approved, enterprise tools are slow to deploy or buried behind weeks of procurement process. Workers reach for whatever helps them do their jobs. More than 60% told BlackFog they believe unsanctioned AI use is acceptable when no approved alternative exists. Governance that blocks without providing alternatives does not stop shadow AI. It drives it underground. The consequences of that gap are no longer theoretical. In October 2025, Deloitte submitted a government report in Australia containing fabricated citations generated by AI. A researcher discovered the fabrications because he personally knew the cited authors and knew they had never written the attributed works. In July 2025, a senior official at the US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency uploaded documents marked for official use into the public version of ChatGPT, a tool blocked for most staff. When the person responsible for defending national cybersecurity infrastructure cannot resist the convenience of a public AI tool, the governance gap is not an enterprise problem. It is a systemic condition. A published policy changes nothing. Infrastructure changes behavior. A year ago, the dominant metaphor for enterprise AI was the co-pilot. The human stays in command, the AI assists. That metaphor is dying. Gartner projects that 15% of day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously by AI agents by 2028, up from 0 in 2024. PwC reports that 79% of organizations have already adopted AI agents at some level, with 96% planning to expand. These figures describe a transfer of authority, not a support function. The better metaphor is the staff officer. In military doctrine, the staff officer does not merely relay information. The staff officer gathers intelligence, analyzes options, drafts operational plans, and presents the commanding officer with a recommended course of action. The commander may accept, modify, or reject the recommendation. In theory, in practice, time pressure and information asymmetry mean the recommendation is accepted far more often than it is questioned. That is what agentic AI does in enterprise settings today. In finance, autonomous systems re-hedge portfolios in near real time. In legal departments, agent frameworks pass discovery and draft motions before junior counsel has checked the inbox. In every sector where data, rules and outcomes are well specified, agentic systems are proving faster, cheaper and more consistent than the human workflows they are replacing. This is the prompt to intent transition. Prompting is transactional. You ask, you get an answer, you remain in control. Intent-based systems receive a goal, decompose it into subtasks, select their own tools, and execute across multiple steps. The first model is a calculator. The second is a contractor. That distinction changes the risk profile of every deployment. A prompt-driven system fails small, a bad answer to a single question. An intent-driven system fails at scale, a misaligned goal propagated across dozens of automated steps before any human notices. So, what does governance that works actually look like? 4 controls make the difference. First, know what you have. Map every AI tool, every embedded AI feature in your SaaS stack, every data flow to external services. Second, give employees approved tools they actually want to use. Shadow AI fills a demand gap, enterprise alternatives address the root cause. Third, monitor continuously. AI-related breaches take 26% longer to detect. Quarterly reviews cannot contain minute-speed data leaks. Fourth, put humans at decision points, not at every step. A human who clicks approve on every AI recommendation without context to evaluate it is not providing oversight. They are providing a liability shield. For leaders in New Zealand, the governance challenge is structural as well as operational. The Reserve Bank's February 2026 analytical note found that 30% of New Zealand workers face high joint exposure to AI and robotics automation. Software programmers scored the maximum possible AI exposure rating. The Institute of Directors 2025 survey found 60.6% of boards working to understand AI productivity, but only 16% have basic shadow AI policies. Boards are accelerating adoption while loosening the governance conversation, and 88% of the AI New Zealand organizations use runs through offshore providers. The EU AI Act's high-risk provisions take effect in August 2026. The enforcement calendar does not grade on a curve. The CISO I mentioned at the start did not ban ChatGPT. She built an approved tool catalog in 3 weeks, deployed enterprise-grade AI with proper data controls, and made it easier to use than the shadow tools. Unsanctioned usage dropped 70% in the first quarter. The infrastructure changed behavior. The policy on the internet did not. Longer. That is the question for the other 81%. If you are navigating AI governance in your organization, subscribe to the Hamberger Report for daily insights. New videos every day. That is the Hamberger Report for today. If this was useful, subscribe and hit the like button. It helps more professionals find the channel. You will find links to everything we covered in the description below. I am Andreas Hamberger, and I will see you tomorrow.